6-year-old winter coat, when she found a pair of mittens in each pocket, thinking that one pair must not be enough to keep her daughter's hands warm, she asked her young daughter why she carried 2 pairs of mittens in her coat. Daughter replied, "I've been doing that for a long, long time, Mom. You see, some kids come to school without mittens, and I carry another pair I can share with them, then their hands won't be cold." Christina, you are like that. I love you, Dad. Christina responded, "Yes, I am like that, but when I give it to them, they never say thank you and they just go back to their friends." Love, Christina. With that spirit of giving, sharing, my wife and I decided to start a new company, an architectural engineering company with different vision, different mission, and different purpose. In the beginning, my wife was somewhat hesitant, was protective of me, not wanting me to start a new business, because she thought it would be too much of additional burden on me. When I insisted, and when she realized that I was serious, she responded with a smirk in her face. "Now that you had a heart transplant, it looks like you need a brain transplant." With that, she and I wrote down a mission statement. We exist to help those who are in need. My 1,000 pounds of steel in my back, my surgery, the stitches on my chest helped me to start a new company, and it became one of the fastest growing company, became one of the best places to work for in Pennsylvania, Army Engineer of the Year in Philadelphia area, carried me to a position in government appointed by the White House, confirmed by the U.S. Senate. This led me to have a stronger faith. It helped me to overcome adversities in life. And as we celebrate 100 years of Korean immigration history, not only are we to look ahead for the next 100 years, we must look back at the last 100 years. We thank all the harmony and courage, our parents, our great-parents, who came here eagerly to pave the way, sweating and overcoming and challenges of language, discriminations, and hardship. Because of them, we are here tonight. Because of them, we have this honeynet, community, churches, government organizations. Because they took what was broken and turned them into stairs of renewed opportunity, we are gathered. Lastly, people ask me, who does this country belong to? It belongs to those who give. This ownership of this country belongs to those who knows how to give. The forefathers of our great nation gave their lives for freedom. They sacrificed, they shed blood. Because they gave their lives for freedom, we can today celebrate this 100th year of Korean-American immigration history. And we thank this great nation of ours for observing today, January 13th, as Korean-American Day, as resolved by the United States Senate in 2005. May God bless you as you continue to build stairs for future. Thank you.
네, 한양현 대표님이 저희의 부모님과 할머님 때문에 고장났는 계단을 고쳐서 저희의 미래도 더 밝아졌다고 합니다. 저희가 백화점 가면은 에스컬레이터가 고장났다고 투덜거릴 때 에스컬레이터는 고장났는 게 아닙니다. 계단이 됐을 뿐입니다. 저희 할머니와 할아버지들 때문에 고장났는 계단도 다 에스컬레이터를 만들어서 저희의 미래도 더 밝아질 수 있었습니다. 대표님 감사합니다.
네, 보셨던 대로 다음에 행사 오실 때는 이렇게 팬클럽을 모시고 오는 거 잊지 마시기 바랍니다. 네, 오늘 팬클럽 참석해 너무 감사드리고요. 자, 다음 저희가 소개해드릴 분들은요, 오늘은 특별히 저희가 이 200분들의 입양들을 저희가 초청을 했었습니다. 이 행사에. 그 중에서 저희 한인 입양인으로서 자긍심을 가지고 현재 최선을 다해 노력하고 계신 분들을 소개해드리려고 합니다. 첫 번째 특별 연설을 해주실 분은요, 얼마 전 브라보 TV의 탑셰프 시즌 10에서 우승을 차지하신 분이십니다. 현재 사실은 생후 4개월 만에 미국으로 입양이 돼서 이제 성장을 하면서 입양은 수치스러운 게 아니고 자긍심을 가지고 한인으로서 자랑스럽게 미국 생활을 하신 분입니다. 먼저 소개하겠습니다. 크리스틴 키씨, 앞으로 나와주시기 바랍니다.
Second female chef to win the prestigious competition.
Maybe, I don't know how high this is. I feel a little, it's okay? Okay, perfect. First of all, thank you everyone for having me here. This is really, really fantastic. Quite a humbling experience to be surrounded by so many influential Korean Americans. So thank you very much. Last speech I gave, I got so nervous that my nose started to run, and then I got a little sidetracked and kind of went off the beaten path in what I was going to say, but I'll try to keep that to a minimum. I wish I would have known. I would have cooked you all dinner. I know it was going to be a real. They all like from the Boston, so it would be fantastic. Okay, so yeah, public speaking. Sorry, I'm really nervous. This is a lot of people. Normally I just stay in the back of the kitchen. So, yeah. You know, there are many defining moments in life that make us who we are. At 13, I was finally a teenager. I just got that much more cool. I wanted to be everything: a marine biologist, an architect, a dental hygienist, a secretary, and a ground control officer for NASA. None of those happened. And at 16, I could drive. I was free, but my mom only let me drive around the neighborhood a couple times. And at 18, I finally became the smartest human being. No one could tell me what to do, and I had the answer to everything and could do no wrong. But none of these milestones would have happened had a family in Michigan and an incredibly brave woman in Korea never would have made the decisions that they did. I was born outside of Seoul, Korea, in room number 2. A woman standing 5'5", black permed hair, an oval face, wearing a navy blue sweatsuit, walked in, gave birth, and disappeared. The clinic gave me a number and waited a few days for her to come back. She did it. So I was turned over to the police, given a name, and shuffled around orphanages for 4 months. Meanwhile, in Michigan, my family had seen a picture of me at 2 weeks. And in my mother's words, it was love at first sight. They waited the 4 months to see if anyone came to claim me, and luckily for me, no one did. The most perfect family for me picked me. I grew up in a predominantly white, middle-class suburb with the most loving family, vacations every year, amazing friends, everything a kid could ask for. I always knew I was adopted even before I could understand what it meant. My parents did what they could to introduce me to Korean culture. Brought me to festivals, introducing me to fellow adoptees, trying their best to feed me Korean food. Didn't really work. And lots of books, but none more important than the Korean Cinderella. I grew up with virtually no discrimination, except for the one time I was mistaken for a boy at Disney World. Still has happened. Anyways, I'm over it. Therapy, that's fine. As I've gotten older, I occasionally ask myself the same questions. Do I like white rice and kimchi because it's in my blood? Is December 1st really my birthday? Am I 100% Korean? What if my biological parents were famous chefs? Do I like to move around a lot because I was shuffled around orphanages as a baby? Questions I can only guess an answer to. Questions some take for granted. Being blood related to someone is only a small detail, but in some ways, in my head as a kid and a teenager, and even as an adult, sorry, now I'm getting nervous. Having that biological relation is somewhat of a roadmap. It's permission to be like your dad, become a doctor or engineer, or know you got your street smarts from your mother, you have the nose of your brother, or way back when the great uncle was a chef. It's validation, and it's a beginning point. After high school, I went on traditional college to pursue a career I had no passion for, or the brain for. International business. I spent a year of my life skipping the occasional 7 a.m. class, nearly failing out of every math course, going to way too many frat parties, and trying to hold it all together when in my head all I could think about was this it? Was the rest of my life going to be as miserable as this? I was depressed. I didn't know who I was, and I had no idea how to make myself happy. I thought this is just how my life is going to be. I began to hate myself and the idea of who I thought I would become. The last semester I moved back home. I would go to school, I'd work a few days, and I'd sit at home alone. My mother, being as brilliant as she is, saw my unhappiness and suggested I try culinary school in Chicago. She noticed my love for all things cooking at 5 years old, and at the time I had no idea I could cook for my job. So that was it. I moved that summer, and I don't think I could have done this without her encouragement or approval. I needed those things to motivate and believe that I could do something, and was years away from being able to identify what I really wanted and then going for it. I had everything I needed in Chicago: a beautiful high-rise apartment, paid for by mom and dad. I went out all the time, and I had no real responsibility. Culinary school was a dream. I loved every second of it. It was an outlet for me to be creative. But I also quickly learned not everyone was there for the reason I was. So I sorted through all the other students, tried to surround myself with the ones I felt were also there to begin a serious career. And my first day was terrible. Sorry, side note. See, now I'm getting sidetracked. My first day in culinary school, they handed me a piece of potato and I burned my mouth and I was screwed for the rest of the 2 weeks. And I almost failed a couple classes because I couldn't taste anything. But anyways, moving along. So even with this amazing path, I was finding myself, and I was trying to find myself, and I still struggled with self-worth, self-image. I put a lot of pressure on myself to be successful. I looked at everyone who I saw as that and tried to earn myself everything that they already had. They are a lot of people. I was trying to be everything I saw from every success story. Because I had no idea who I was, I tried to be everyone else. It was exhausting. And I dealt with that by going out, perhaps taking in too many unhealthy recreational substances. It was awful. Maybe your first couple years of college is fun and whatever, but I kind of got really deep into it, and definitely wasn't healthy. But anyways, after culinary school, I applied for every job known to man, and I was turned down by so many of them because I refused to take anything that wasn't a chef position, and I had a resume with no real kitchen experience. I had everything in Chicago that didn't matter, and very little that did. My parents again saw the unhealthy path I was on and were tired of supporting me. So they made me move back home, and in my mind I disappointed them again, which wasn't easy to deal with. Right back to where I was 3.5 years ago, depressed and embarrassed. Months later I decided to move and start over. I chose Boston. I'm not entirely sure why, but it felt right. With the help of my parents, again, I picked it up and moved. This time was a little different, though. I lived in a room of a family friend in a house with 4 other people. I lived out of 2 boxes and 2 suitcases. and I took a job working on a line as a cook for a humble hourly pay. The less than successful start in Boston has proved to be just what I needed. I have taken a handful of jobs, some great, some not so great. In those I saw in the jobs that weren't so great, I saw I could do things better and realized if someone taught me something, I could do it. I learned to choose my jobs not by ego or superficiality, but on education and opportunity. 3 years ago, I took a position with Chef Barbara Lynch and have been with her since. Her mentorship has taught me about heart and how there is a place for the personal in cooking. For me, a brilliant dining experience needs more from a chef than textbook execution. She was the one who gave me the confidence to compete on Top Chef. I hesitantly agreed, and before I knew it was happening. I knew if I didn't go for it, I might miss out on something great. So I went in very nervous and very curious. Since being on television, my life has changed. I'm here. This is very interesting. I would have never imagined my world would literally flip upside down. But for me, I guess all in the best ways. And one of the most valuable things that I've learned is being able to be surrounded by so many people and meet so many individuals who have taught me an incredible amount about myself and everything that I would want to be in the future. So thank you to all of you. And as an adoptee, one of the things I miss is being able to see someone that looks like me. I may never know who I look like, but to see people that look like my family is beautiful. And to see families that remind me of myself is incredible. I often wonder why all these amazing things are happening to me. Because in my mind, I'm simply a person trying to do right by my family and my friends, trying to do a great job at work, and trying to be truly happy. I still have some of the same old insecurities. They just don't go away. But what I've found is that experience and maturity have tempered them. Finding something I'm passionate about and willing to work hard at and make sacrifices for has made me a better, more grounded, happier person. And I think these insecurities have helped me to take risks, work harder, and push myself. I'm still learning, but now I'm more deliberate in my actions. I examine each opportunity and ask myself questions before making decisions so that I am clear on exactly what's motivating me. Now, instead of trying to be like everyone else, I'm thinking long-term about my relationships, about building a career, and bettering myself. I've realized at 13 I should have embraced my ambition, explored every option, owned up to the fact that I could be whatever I wanted, and explore every option without fear. At 16, all my mother was showing me was love. She was protecting me. And at 18, I now know I needed all the help I could get. I needed the advice from those who cared about me. And these are our roadmaps. These are my roadmaps. I don't need to know what my biological parents did, what they look like, who I got my nose from, or why I can sometimes be very impatient. I've created my own roadmap through experiences, struggles, insecurities, mentors, and loved ones. And that, for me, is my medicine. Thank you.
자, 다음은 현재 미 연방국의 스페셜 에이전트로 있는 계십니다. 현재 입양 그리고 어린이 학대 등 이슈에 대해서 국제사회에 널리 알고 계신 분입니다. 자, 캐트린 카니사코 앞으로 나와주시기 바랍니다.
Please give a warm welcome to Kathleen Sarka.
Good evening, distinguished guests and fellow Korean Americans. Thank you to the Korean American Association of Greater New York, and also known as, for inviting me to this event. it is truly an honor to join you for the 54th Korean Night Gala and Korean American Day celebration. It is my great pleasure to speak with you this evening about my work at the U.S. Department of State, the impact of my Korean American heritage on my work, and the special role of organizations such as CAGNY as the foundation of international understanding and prosperity between the United States and other nations. I am the Special Assistant to Ambassador Susan Jacobs. She is the Special Advisor for Children's Issues at the State Department. Ambassador Jacobs, who was first appointed by former Secretary Clinton, has a challenging task of strengthening child protection systems in two vital areas: intercountry adoption and international parental child abduction. Together, we represent the Bureau of Consular Affairs Office of Children's Issues. Ambassador Jacobs meets with government officials across the world to discuss diplomatic concerns concerning adoption and abduction. She also regularly communicates with non-governmental organizations, policymakers, the public, and congressional leaders to encourage expanded membership and effective implementation of the Hague Conventions on Abduction and Adoption, and also to support stronger child protection systems. I am truly proud to be part of the Office of Children's Issues and honored to work with Ambassador Jacobs. My journey to public diplomacy began 37 years ago aboard a Northwest flight from Seoul to LAX on Christmas Eve, 1976. On that day, I came to the United States, adopted from Korea at the age of 5 years old, along with my biological younger sister. My birth family in Korea had made the excruciating decision to place my sister and me into an orphanage because they felt intercountry adoption was their only option to provide a better future for my sister and me. Thankfully, I grew up in a loving family and was provided many opportunities to thrive and succeed here in the United States. Like many of you, my early life was shaped by the immigrant experience, but one that is unique in the world history: the adoption of children across international boundaries. Intercountry adoption from Korea began as a crisis response to thousands of mixed-race children in need of families. Since the 1950s, over 200,000 Korean-born children have come to the United States for adoption, forming a human bridge between the two countries, but sometimes leaving adoptees feeling as though they were left somewhere in between. Growing up as a Korean-born adoptee, I had to negotiate what it meant to be Korean, raised by Caucasian parents in the United States, and often the only Asian in the community. Central to the experience of intercountry adoptees is a sense of disconnection from culture and identity. As an adult, I found connections through groups such as Also Known As. I am grateful to Also Known As for their tireless work for the past 17 years. They have helped build a social network of adoptees, sensitizing the larger community to the adoptee experience and connecting adult adoptees to their birth country. I credit groups like Also Known As with helping me to integrate my Korean identity with myself as an adoptee. My deeply personal experience as an intercountry adoptee influenced my career choices. I decided early in my education to focus on helping children, and later focused on helping adopted parents and adoptees. I felt at that time, and still strongly believe, that we must do a better job at meeting the needs of at-risk children. As a representative of the U.S. Department of State and as an intercountry adoptee, I stand committed to ethical practice in intercountry adoption and expansion of services to vulnerable children across the continuum, from preventative services for children and families in other countries to post-adoption services for families here in the United States. The Hague Adoption Convention provides a framework for a transparent and ethical intercountry adoption process. It is extremely gratifying to know that Korea is working to join this convention. The other issue that I worked on at the State Department is international parental child abduction, which we commonly refer to as IPCA. IPCA occurs when a parent removes or retains a child in another country without the permission of the other parent. With the increase in globalization, there has been an increase in multicultural and multinational families. Last year, Korea joined the Hague Abduction Convention, and this important treaty went into force between the United States and Korea on November 1st, 2013. By moving towards joining both of these conventions, Korea, like in so many other areas, is demonstrating their leadership in international child welfare. These multilateral treaties are vital to protect the welfare of children as they cross international boundaries, whether for the purposes of intercountry adoption or in child custody disputes. I am particularly proud of these recent developments, and I am confident that they will foster the well-being of vulnerable children in Korea and here in the United States. I am quick to credit Ambassador Jacobs, my State Department colleagues, and our counterparts in Korea for these recent successes. But I also understand that there is much beneath the surface, that the unrecognized work of such organizations as CAGNY, and also known as, contribute to the diplomatic success of the State Department around the world. CAGNY, and also known as, strengthen bonds between communities here in the United States and in Korea. In your work providing educational and cultural events, you foster understanding within the wider community. You strengthen the bridges that connect the United States with Korea, and you weave our sense of what it means to be Korean American into the overall fabric of our nation. Your efforts are citizen diplomacy, and you are all public diplomats. Make no mistake, your work reverberates beyond New York and cross borders, touching the lives of children in Korea. In the year of our nation's bicentennial, I was adopted from Korea, knowing two words: Jimmy Carter and ice cream. As a 5-year-old, I suppose the ice cream part made sense. Nonetheless, I find it remarkable that a little Korean girl would know the name of the President of the United States. But more astounding, that that same girl would go on to work for the current president. For that, I am indebted to our hardworking public diplomats like Ambassador Jacobs, but more importantly, to citizen diplomats like yourselves. Thank you.
네, 감사합니다. 자, 다음은 이거는 어렸을 때 입양이 돼서요, 뉴욕에서 거주를 하면서 뉴욕에서 고등학교와 대학을 다 나오시고 지금 현재는 세계 한인 입양인 협회에서 사무총장을 지내시고 계시는 분입니다. 김미연님 앞으로 나와주시기 바랍니다.
She's the current secretary of the International Korean Adoptee Association. Please give her a warm round of applause.
Good evening, everybody. 한국말로 먼저 여러분을 만나게 되어 기쁘다는 말로 시작하고 싶습니다. As she said, my name is Kim Hyun-Gerstein. I was adopted from Korea as a baby at just 6.5 months old. In addition to serving on the executive board of directors for the International Korean Adoptee Associations, the ICA network, which is a consortium of 11 organizations, adoptee organizations around the US and Europe. I'm also on the board of directors for also known as the local adoptee organization. As you can tell from some of the crowd, I'm joined here tonight by many Korean adoptees and their families, including my parents and other members of our community, also including eight fellow board members who are separated around here. I grew up in New York City, and it gave me the opportunity. I was really fortunate to have places like K-Town, Flushing, and the Korean School of New York in the Bronx, where I gained exposure to the Korean community, language, and culture. I learned Hangul, Taekwondo, Muyong, the Santoki song, dressed up in a hanbok sometimes, ate bulgogi and kimbap. And although waking up really early on a Saturday morning to go to the Bronx to attend school was really not my idea of a good time. I do realize now in hindsight that I was really fortunate that I had parents who really encouraged that exploration. But despite this exposure to Korea and Korean culture, over the years I really struggled with reclaiming and discovering my Korean identity. I wondered where and how I fit into Korean society. It often felt like I was straddling two cultures and two countries, trying to reconcile my New York upbringing with my Korean face. My parents brought me back to Korea in 1993. The trip was my graduation gift as a transition between Hunter Elementary and Hunter High School. It was over 20 years ago, and Korea was really different back then. We rented a car and drove out of Seoul. I remember streets, paved streets, abruptly turning into dirt roads, and lots of ajumas selling roasted potatoes and sweet potatoes alongside the streets. We visited Daegu for the night, which is the city where I was born. I don't think I ever shared with my parents how significant that night was. But it was the night that I came to understand the deep meaning of and sometimes inexplicable connection to one's goyang, or hometown. And for that one night, I truly felt Korean. Through my personal involvement with Also Known As and the Korean community, I've met people who would help nurture my sense of Koreanness and my identity, including our former president, Joy Lieberthal-Rowe, who is present tonight, and someone who's been like a mentor and an envy to me. I came to embrace my hyphenated identity as a Korean-American adoptee. And along with the other, also known as board of directors, we seek to present the same kinds of opportunities to other adoptees, both in their exploration of their adoption experiences, but also in exploring their Korean roots. Since 2004, I've returned to Korea at least once a year to plan ICA gatherings, large-scale conferences that bring together hundreds of adult Korean adoptees to the country of our birth from all around the world. Or to attend conferences such as the Future Leaders Conference, the 세계 한인 자세대 대회, hosted by the Overseas Koreans Foundation, whose chairman is here tonight, and to which I was honored to be recommended by the Korean Consulate General of New York. The Korea I return to now boasts one of the top global economies and a really great airport and some of the most advanced technologies of the world. And I have also returned to my goyang, my hometown, and spent time with my Korean family, who I met in 2004. I am Mi-hyun Gerstein, also known as Kim Mi-hyun, and I'm proud to be Korean and a New Yorker and an adoptee. I was very moved by President Min's passion. Wow. I was very moved by President Min's passion for tonight's theme, Amazing Korea. An effort that reminds us of Korea's tumultuous and impoverished past of 60 years ago, only to illustrate the truly remarkable progress and accomplishments that have been achieved by the Korea of today. And to highlight, of course, the growing strength of the overseas Korean communities, including that which CAGNY has brought together tonight. And it's Korea's journey over the past 60 years that has influenced all of our lives, and landed all of us here in the greater New York area. Whether it was the pursuit of the American dream, educational or entrepreneurial opportunities, or international adoption from Korea. I'm hopeful that through this shared connection to Korea's past, we can together continue to bridge the Korean adoptee and Korean communities to encourage growth and education that will promote a positive and strong future for us all. I would like to express my heartfelt thank you to President Min Seung-lee, also Executive Director Cho Sung-han, and the Academy Board of Directors, first for extending this invitation to the adult adoptee, Korean adoptee community, through also known as but more importantly, for welcoming Korean adoptees as part of the local Korean community, and for presenting all of us in attendance tonight with this really significant opportunity to open our minds and our hearts as fellow New York Koreans and supporters of the greater New York Korean community. 이렇게 좋은 기회를 주셔서 감사드립니다. Sorry, and the next speaker is Jane.
두 명의 입양을 하신 분이죠. 우리 입양하신 우리 부모님입니다. 제인 로젠버그.
Next we have Jane Rosenberg, who will tell us about her experiences as a mother of two adoptees.
안녕하십니까. 저는 지안이 하고 있는 엄마입니다. 이 자리에서 여러분을 만나서 말씀드리게 된 것을 영광스럽게 생각합니다. 제 한국말이 잘 가서 영어로 말씀드리겠습니다. Thank you very much for this opportunity to share some remarks with you this evening. It's quite humbling to be included in this very distinguished group of speakers. As I tried to say just now in my very limited and very rehearsed Korean, my name is Jane Rosenberg, and I'm the proud mother of Madeline Ji-yeon and Kenneth Jinu, who are here tonight with their dad and husband. Our family is very excited to be participating in this event celebrating amazing Korea, and we are truly honored that we, along with so many Korean adoptees and their families, have been invited here tonight as guests. Our warmest thanks to the Korean American Association of Greater New York for their generosity and hospitality. To share a little family background, our daughter Madeline Ji-yeon, Maddie, was born in Hanwon-do, Chuncheon on December 12, 1997. 5 months later, we traveled to Seoul and were united with Maddie. This was John and my first trip to Korea, and we were very touched when Maddie's foster family, Mr. and Mrs. E, and their teenage daughters embraced us warmly, acting as tour guides and hosts during our time in Seoul. 2 years later, our son, Kenneth Jinu, Kenny, was born on October 2nd, 2000 in Gyeongsang-gukdo, Daegu. Through our adoption agency, we asked that Kenny could be placed with the same foster family that had taken care of Maddie. To our great joy, the E family immediately said yes. When John, Maddie, and I traveled to Seoul to be united with Kenny, the E's were overjoyed to see Ji-yeon again. It was an amazing reunion. Today we keep in touch via email, and our trips back to Korea, we've even been lucky enough to meet their grandchildren. We feel a strong connection to this very wonderful family. So that's how we started out, and now today our daughter is 16 years old. And now, I'm sorry, I've lost my place. Okay, our daughter is 16 years old and a junior in high school, and our son is a 13-year-old 8th grader. While it is clearly not good form to boast about your kids, I hope you'll indulge me and let me share with you that our kids are two amazing people. Our kids are kind, loving, bright, funny, and compassionate. My husband and I are deeply grateful for the blessing and the privilege of raising these two wonderful kids. family we find ourselves in, we cannot lose sight of the fact that our kids, having been separated from their first mothers and first families, separated from Korea and Korean language, history, and culture, have suffered an immense loss. After years of living as a transracial adoptive family, and by listening to the voices of adult adoptees and first mothers, we grasp fully that adoption is a paradox, at once both joyful and tragic. The gains, many of which benefit adoptive parents mainly, are accompanied for adoptees and for birth mothers by great pain and great loss. While much of what our children have lost is irretrievable, one thing adoptive parents can do is recognize that by adopting Korean kids, we have formed a family with a truly unique identity. Our families are not just the same as those formed biologically. John and I look at our family of 4 people, and it's clear to us, 2 of us are white Americans, and 2 of us, 50% of our family, are Korean Americans. To our mind, that makes us a Korean American family. Of course, John and I are not now Korean, and regrettably, we never will be. But half our family is Korean. So what does that mean? How can we help our kids make sense of this family which they find themselves growing up in? Our family, like so many adoptive families here tonight, have learned we need to seek ways for our kids to connect to their birth heritage. We need to help our kids and our family as a whole forge genuine connections with things Korean, food, music, art, the Korean language, Korean people. By making connections with the Korean community and exploring and embracing elements of Korean culture as part of our family's culture, we hope our kids will forge strong and proud identities as Korean American adoptees. How do we make this happen? Well, we're very fortunate to live here in New York with a large and vibrant Korean community and a very active adult adoptee community. We're very fortunate that there are many in these communities who reach out and offer meaningful connection with our kids and with us. The group, also known as, extremely well represented here tonight, is a vital resource. A group of young adult Korean adoptees founded, also known as, 18 years ago to create the kind of supportive environment that they themselves did not have access to as they grew up. A mentorship program run by adult adoptees for younger adoptees. For our kids and so many others, belonging to AKA is validating and empowering. The mentors are energetic, generous, and caring adults who offer our kids understanding and guidance through their lived experiences as adoptees that we adoptive parents never can. And also known as periodically has panel discussions which give adoptive parents the chance to hear directly and learn from adult adoptees. It's a fantastic resource. Heartfelt thanks to all of the also known as mentors. One important message shared with us by many adult adoptees: not speaking Korean can be very frustrating and isolating for adoptees, especially when they visit or return to live in Korea. Many express regret at not having the chance to learn Korean as they grew up. That's why many adoptive parents seek language instruction for their kids today. And the Korean community in New York provides us with many excellent options. Some of us attend the Korean Heritage School for Adoptees, a wonderful Saturday program that was started by Dr. Kim Gun-soon and Dr. Lee Sung-gun. Other families take class at the Saturday Manhattan Korean School. And many of us find excellent opportunities with private lessons with Korean-born friends and allies of our community. Through our teachers and friends, our kids learn Korean songs, dances, traditional games. There are local restaurants such as Kunji, Kansa, and Kongangsan here in Flushing who sponsor Korean cooking classes for our families. Together with the Korean community, we celebrate Korean holidays, we enjoy cultural events, and in October, we march together in the Korean Day Parade. And now tonight, we participate in this amazing event with you here at the Korean American Association of Greater New York.
Outstanding achievement.
네, 시상은 인생비 회장님께서 해주시겠습니다.
In recognition of your outstanding achievement in community service and valuable contributions for the social empowerment and the better. We thank you. In recognition of your outstanding
노래방송 분들에게 수상합니다. 박민용 세계 리더십상입니다. 훌륭하시는 분들은 앞으로 나와주시기 바랍니다. 헬렌킴님 앞으로 나와주시기 바랍니다.
Next Generation Leadership Award, Ms. Helen Kim. We thank you for the Good Neighbor Award. Walker Club, and John Liu. Please love.
네, 저는 감사합니다. 대신해서 안했습니다. 고객님이 받으시고
Thank you. In recognition of your outstanding achievement in community service and to honor your contributions, which have made a lasting difference.
네, 정리를 수고하겠습니다.
거기 뒤에 이쪽으로 오세요.
from which people will recognize a certain cultural field. So let's make sure this is where CAGNY, Korean American Radio Association, come in. And then my friend KACF and other organizations here, we have to work together. We have to stand behind the CAGNY to make them sure we lead our Korean people to establish more firm, respectable reputation and their position and culture in America, the greatest country under the sky. Thank you. Let's have a song sing song.
Congratulations once again to everyone that has received an award today. For our final song, we will sing together, Arida.